right, everyone, welcome. My name is Tamara Lowney. I'm the president of Itasca Economic Development Corporation here in Grand Rapids. We are going to go ahead and get the meeting started. I know people will be joining as we move forward, but we'd like to get things started so we can answer any questions that anyone may have. As we go along today, please note that we are recording this session so it can be posted to the IEDC website for businesses that were unable to attend today. If you're joining us today, you should already know that we have two grants available for Itasca County businesses. Those two grants are the Itasca Business Relief Fund Grant Program and the Itasca Logger Grant Program. We'll be talking about both programs in detail today, and I will also be adding a slide available to talk about the GRETA program that was recently released just today. So we'll talk a little bit about that between the two programs that you see listed on the screen today. The Itasca Business Relief Fund Grant Program has $1.5 million total available for businesses in Itasca County that can demonstrate a financial impact due to the COVID-19 crisis. Those grants will range from $1,200 to $20,000, and the grantees will be chosen through a lottery system. The Itasca Logger Grant Program is $300,000 available to every qualified logger in Itasca County, and those amounts are yet to be determined and really will start around $5,000 and be determined by the number of applicants that we receive. As you can see in the comments, it does say to let us know if you have any questions by sending your comments in through the comment session, as everyone is being muted as they're added today. Now, if you do have a question, you feel free to unmute yourself, and then we'd be happy to address those questions as they arise. So the application information is available on our website, and we'll be going through a number of those application pieces today so you know exactly where they are. I also included the links to those places in your comments. So if you go to your comments right now, you can see the links to all the things we're going to be discussing today. We have an application period, and that starts next Tuesday at 12:01 a.m., August 25th, and it goes through 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, August 27th. The reason we've chosen this period is so we can get through all of the applications, have time to do the validation that's required, and ensure that the funding gets out into the business's hands as soon as possible. So that portal is the only way that you can apply. You cannot come into our office and drop off an application. You can, however, come into our office and sit down with one of our partners or consultants here in the office, and they will assist you in putting that into the system, or you can call us up and they will assist you into putting that into the system. The reason that's so important is the very last piece of the application is your authorization. And we need you to be present in order to authorize submitting that application online in the portal. So again, you cannot come to the office and drop it off, but you can come to the office or call the office and request someone to assist you with the application process. The online only applications that are complete will be accepted. Again, we've done everything we could to try to keep the application process as simple as possible, but there could be things that you have questions on, so feel free to give us a call here in the office. For the Itasca Business Relief Program, there are some specific eligibility requirements. You must reside in Itasca County. You must be current on your financial obligations as of March 1st, 2020, and you must affirm that you intend to remain open or reopen in Itasca County in 2020. You must demonstrate a need for financial support due to an impact from the COVID-19 pandemic. This one is very critical. This is why the CARES Act fundings were awarded to Itasca County, and the Itasca County Commissioners determined that they would be used best to get those funds back in business owners' hands. But we don't want those funds going to businesses that don't really need them. So this is a way for us to qualify businesses and show their financial need for the support that's coming. If you own more than one business, you may put an application in per business. We will not be accepting any eligible businesses that are owned by a franchise that is outside of Itasca County. And we will not accept any nonprofit organizations into this program. Now, there are a couple of caveats because there are some very recent grant programs that are available to our small businesses. And again, we're trying to get funds into business owners' hands that haven't had access to other funds. So we're not talking about the PPP program or the EIDL funds that were released early this year. We're not asking for information about those. Very recently, there was a deed program for a $10,000 grant that was released, and many business owners are still finding out whether or not they have received those funds, as it was a lottery program as well. In addition to that, today we're going to talk about the Grand Rapids grant program that is partnering with their loan program. And in addition to that, there will be a grant program for co-asset businesses here in the coming weeks. So if you are applying for our grant, we encourage you to apply, especially if you don't know if you're going to receive one of these other grant programs, such as Grand Rapids or Cohasset, or even the state of Minnesota. But just understand that we can verify if you do receive those funds with our partners at the city and the state, and that way you would be disqualified at that point if you receive those other funds. But please don't let that stop you from applying, since you may not already know whether or not you've received those other grant funds. So also ineligible requirements, and this is a list that I'm not going to walk through every single piece of, but essentially we're talking about businesses selling, distributing, conducting related activities of sexually explicit materials, passive investments, investment properties, businesses that earn more than half of its annual revenue from lending activities such as banks or investors, financial advisors, businesses engaged in multi-level marketing, where a participant's primary incentive is based on the sales made by an ever-increasing number of participants. So this could be people that sell cosmetics or candles or scented oils or nutritional products. There are many of them available out there, and this grant program is not meant for them. It is not for business. It is not for businesses engaged in activities that are not legal. It is also not for those that are engaged in gambling enterprises. Now, I do want to make clear, just in earlier programs available by the state of Minnesota, gambling enterprises does not count programs that are run through, legally run through local bars that are actually handled by a third party. For example, a bar or restaurant may house a lottery, or I'm sorry, it may house pull tabs, electronic pull tabs or regular pull tabs that are actually done through the local fire department or the local Lions Club. Those are not, that does not disqualify you from this grant program. So as long as you, the organization itself, is not operating in gambling, then you are qualified to apply for these funds. So we're going to take a moment just to look at our application itself. So the application has had a couple of updates since it's recently been posted. We'll be putting those updates out, or those updates are available on our website. And those updates are very minor, but help us to validate the businesses that are here. And so I want to give you a little background on why it's so important that we do have the validation measures in place that we have. In many grants that are happening throughout the nation right now, people are out there simply Googling and searching for grants. And we anticipate having as many as 10% of our grants coming from locations outside of Itasca County, potentially even outside of our state, as they see the word grant and they know and understand that those funds are free and do not need to be paid back. And so we expect a high volume of folks that are not even part of our county and just trying to get some access to free funds. So as you think about that, ensure that the information that we're asking for will be held with the utmost confidentiality. We'll be taking high precautions to protect your security and ensure that the things that we're handling are handled with care. Our office and our team members are all a part of a confidentiality agreement, and the things that we find through this process will be kept only in-house. In addition to that, IEDC is working with a third party called Norspan to ensure that every step of our screening process has a checks and balance portion to it, and that no one is picking winners. And it's simply very clear through this process that we have as much transparency as possible for our applicants. So our first piece is the website that you're looking at here. The website has the Itasca County grants up here on the top as you see it. You can go to that and that will give you the information that's available on the grants that we have at the moment. We update this information as often as we receive those updates, and they will be potentially as often as daily, the updates will be available online. On that page, at the very top of the page, you'll see the Itasca County grants. So starting on Tuesday at 12:01 a.m., you will start to see a very highlighted box here at the top for Itasca business grants, and then you will see a box that will be labeled logger grants. That will be a direct link to the application that can be filled out online. So when you click on that link, it will bring you directly to this page. This is simply a mechanism of a survey tool that we are using to gather the information that you need to provide to us. This first piece is simply the information we've been talking about already today, talking about the period of the application, as well as some of the information around complete applications being submitted. As you scroll down, it's asking for your contact information, and it's asking for some other information that is optional to you. So as you scroll down through gender, race, ethnicity, veteran, disability, we really like to gather that information, but of course that information is always optional, and you do not have to answer it if you're uncomfortable doing so. The next page. The next page is going to go into the business information. We have business information from business types throughout, business website, Facebook page, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. These will all be used as tools for our researchers that will be validating businesses. Again, we want to ensure that you are a real business, that you actually live and reside in, that you actually have your business address in Itasca County. And that's important. If you have a business in Itasca County, but you yourself personally do not reside in Itasca County, you are still eligible for this grant program. So if your business is here and you happen to live in Cass Lake, no problem, you're still eligible and should apply for this grant. So once we have all this information, and please enter as much of that as you have available, it will simplify the process on our end and certainly help it go faster. We're looking for the business organization type. Again, very important. If you're not sure which one of these apply, you can always type something in the other space as well. Otherwise, you simply click on and hit OK, and it'll accept your answer. So if you are a sole proprietorship, or perhaps you're a salon person that you contract a single chair out, those are some options and things you can type into the other place if need be. Are you registered as a business with the state of Minnesota? This is one of our validation pieces of our process. And so we want to ensure that you are definitely putting that information in there if you have it available to you. And if you are registered with the state of Minnesota, what is your registration number? So remember that every applicant we receive, we have to validate all the information that we're looking for. So as much information as you can provide the first time around, the easier it will be to process your application. Do you have a business tax ID? Yes or no? If you are a sole proprietorship, your business tax ID may be your social security number, but you should be aware of that. So you would want to type that business tax ID in the column here as seen. Is your business a nonprofit organization? Yes or no? So in this case, as you know, nonprofit organizations are not eligible for our program. We are working with the Itasca County on the potential for a nonprofit program, and we hope to have more information on that, about that in the weeks to come. Is your business free of liens due to unpaid taxes? This is liens from the state of Minnesota against yourself or your business, and this will disqualify you from this. So if you have not had, or if you do have something out there with the state of Minnesota and you know that it's going to come up as part of our search, this may not be a grant that you want to apply for. If you feel like it's something that is very much that you'd like to talk to me individually about, please feel free to give me a call and I'd be happy to go through that topic with you. Our third page is going to talk about the COVID-19 impacts for your business. This piece is really important, not just for the grant application, but for us as a county, understanding how COVID-19 is impacting our businesses. So as you could probably guess, we are actually having a lot of programs going on, and there are people from the state, the federal, the local side that are trying to determine what type of programs would be good for our businesses and help support them. So the more information we have on what is happening to your specific business, how it's impacting you, the better we can use this information beyond the grant program to understand programs that might help you in the future. As we scroll down, we're going to see the number of full-time equivalents as of March 1st, so technically before the COVID-19 pandemic, and the number of full-time equivalent employees as of today. So we know we've had a lot of questions on how to calculate a full-time equivalent employee when you are a business that typically has a lot of part-time employees. So in the comments on your box, you will be able to see there are two specific links that we put in there, but there are several programs on the internet that have calculations for full-time employees. One here will tell you exactly how by employee, so if you have 5 employees, these are labeled A through F, and you know each number of hours they work weekly, monthly, or annually, then you will be able to see exactly how many full-time equivalents you have based on that information. My colleague Terry found another one that's really helpful if you are a seasonal employee, and we have a lot of seasonal resorts here in Minnesota. So if you're a seasonal employee and let's say you have people working hours just May through September, but the rest of the year you don't, this will calculate the FTEs that you have according to your annual seasonality with your employees. So again, there are 2 that we left you links for in the comments, and those are also available on our Facebook page, but you can go out and find a number of these as well. We will be verifying some of this information with you, so you'd want to be as exact as possible when you're filling this out. So as we go further down the form, we're going to talk about the reason regarding your application. I think most of us on the call know that reason is due to COVID-19 impacts, but this is an opportunity for you to think outside of what we've already asked for information-wise and provide us any other insights that you think would be helpful to us as we move forward. And then of course, here's the piece that I was telling you about earlier, where there is the deed grant, the City of Grand Rapids grant, and the City of Cohasset grant. So these grants you may have applied for, so you would want to click the applied box. You know, some people may know if they have or have not received them, and then you would click this box. If you have applied for them, but you don't know if you've received them, you would simply click the applied box. If you haven't applied for any of them or received any of them, you simply leave them all blank and then hit the OK button. But again, remember that we will be verifying our lists against lists from the City of Grand Rapids and the City of Cohasset to ensure that we are, again, trying to get funding into the hands of the folks that really need it. And here's the part that we've had a lot of questions about recently. This is the total business revenue for the following dates or ranges of dates. So for those businesses that are impacted by COVID-19, we want to see what business was like for you in 2019. We want you to try to give us an example of what your revenues were from March 1st to June 30th in 2019, as well as your expenses from that same period. And then roughly estimate that same amount of revenues for March 1st to June 30th, as well as your expenses for March 1st to June 30th. So we do have these tools out there that are available to assist you. If you go to our website, you can click on the information that says view a sample profit and loss statement. Click here. That will open up an Excel document. So again, if you don't have Excel available to you, if that's not a program that you're familiar with, you can come in here and we can print this out for you. But essentially what it shows you is a very simple month-to-month example of what you could be listing in here. So for example, you might have 2 or 3 different revenue sources. You simply put those in and it will total that amount for you for the annual basis. So if we're just talking March through June, you would just put those months in and it would total the sums up for you. So I'll quickly show you how it works. So let's say in March and April and May, I made $1,000 a month. It's automatically going to total those funds up for me and show me at the end what I totaled during that time. So you'd simply fill in March through June. And there you have it. There's my annual revenue for those 4 months that we're asking for in the form. Same thing available on the bottom of the sheet. If you have rent expenses, insurance, utilities, salaries, and then other expenses, we don't want to see every expense you have listed out. We would just like you to be as simplified as possible. And again, that will help us understand your revenue and expenses for those few months that you're in operations. If you already have an existing P&L, please don't use this. We do not want to create more work for you. We simply want to provide a tool for those small businesses that don't have a P&L report that they're currently using. So if your accountant has something available, contact them first. Don't try to recreate the wheel here. Pick up the phone, call your accountant, call your banker. Do I have something already that records this information for me? They may say, oh, absolutely. Don't do this over. We have something for you right now. So make sure you give them a call first. If you don't have anything already available to you, then by all means use our format to help you with the information. And then if you pass that initial screening, we're going to be asking for this form to validate the information that you've provided. So going back to our application. Oopsie. We come down to what changes you've made to your business to stay viable during the pandemic. Again, it's important to the county commissioners and our partners here in the area that we are talking about the things that are working for us, the things that we're trying to do to stay in business. And we know that some business owners have become really creative on how they're trying to do that. And that is it. The final piece is a commitment to remain open and verification that the information is correct. And this is why we ask that you either be on the phone with one of our consultants or in person so we can verify that yes, the information you've provided is correct. So a very simple, we hope, application form available to folks that are looking to be a part of this grant. Now I can give you a little information available on what that looks like for us as far as the process. So we can, I can figure out how to get back there. There we go. Again, only completed applications will be accepted. Once you've completed your application, what happens on our end is all the applicants are put through the system and they will be reviewed for eligibility. So the initial screening process is done by our partners at Northspan, where they will do the very simple screening of saying, no, this business does not exist. It's not in Itasca County, or it's a nonprofit. So it will take out the very, very obvious eligibility requirements and say, this business is not eligible for this grant. At that time, we will be sending out an email to the ineligible applicants, which will happen the week after the applications are submitted. So the very next week, if you are ineligible because of any of those very obvious reasons, you will receive an email that says that you are ineligible and no further communication is required. For those of you that are eligible based on those simple requirements, you will receive an email from Austin Miller on the Itasca team. His email address will read amiller@itascadv.org. That information will come through to you. It's not a scam, and he will be asking for very specific documentation. That documentation list is available also on our website. I'm not going to go through it today in detail, but I will tell you that it's very specific. It's asking for simple pieces of information to help verify your address. It's asking to verify your tax ID numbers. It's asking to verify some of your revenues. So you will see things like a request for utility bill to verify your address, a request for Minnesota taxes, your current year that was submitted. So maybe you didn't do 2019 because that's not required yet, but you did 2018. And so that would be the year that you would want to submit back to Austin. That information is gathered by our team. Austin and Kayla Swanson will be working together closely to gather that information from you. And they will be putting that information into a folder for our partners again at Northspan. So once we've received all of your verification information, which will be due by September 14th, if you do not have all your documentation in by September 14th, you will no longer be eligible. That application's information will be verified by Northspan. So they will be Google searching, checking with the state of Minnesota, verifying it through numerous means to ensure the information that's provided is accurate and correct. We want to make sure that there, again, aren't anything slipping through the cracks of eligibility. We will also at that time be comparing our list to Cohasset and Grand Rapids and the state of Minnesota to help understand if other grant funds have been received. So our program right now has 5 tiers. There are funds available at each tier ranging from $1,200 all the way up to $20,000. The criteria for that is an internal criteria that can be released if there are questions after the process is complete, but that information will be used to provide point systems to our applicants and put them into each one of the buckets of funding. Once we've got that done, we will assign a certain amount of funds to each bucket, and the number of applicants that will be awarded will go into a lottery system. So through this process, each applicant has received an individual number. So from, let's say we have 1,000 applicants, everyone will be numbered from 1 to 1,000. If we say one pool of, let's say the $1,200 pool of applicants has 100 people that are awarded, then there are 200 applicants, then 100 people, 100 numbers will be chosen from the lottery system and awarded the grants. We will be using a lottery program completely out of our hands to make that process as fair as possible. And once we do that, the applicants and the grantees will be notified to let them know how much funds will be received and when they can expect to receive those funds. So what we're looking at is the application period is August 25th to 27th. And the period between August 31st and September 14th, we'll be doing a combination of things. We'll be requiring and requesting documentation. And as that documentation comes in, it'll start to get verified by our partners at Norspan. Also during that time, we'll be looking to get those final emails out that says if you do not have your documents in by September 14th, you are automatically disqualified from the grant program. Between September 14th and 30th, we'll continue to verify documentation. We'll get all that information in. If we happen to collect the information and get through things more quickly, then the dates could move up. If we get a huge inundation of applications that we're, as you know, there are many businesses in Itasca County and we are unsure how many will apply, that certainly could impact the dates that we are working on this program, both in a positive or negative way. It could make it so we've done things more quickly, or it certainly could make it so things take a lot longer to get done. So right now we're planning on having notifications out to award winners in October, between the 1st and the 15th, as well as checks distributed. So I know I said a lot right there. Do I have any questions out there? Please feel free to unmute yourself at this time.
Actually, I do have a question. This is Rod.
Yes, Rod, how can I help you?
When it comes to this, filling this stuff out, I know I need to get my tax lady to help me out on some of the items you mentioned. Is there a way to make an appointment either on Tuesday or Thursday of next week in the office to have this applied, help me through the application?
Yes, Rodney, thanks for asking. It is possible, and we really encourage that. So if you want to reach out, in fact, you can just simply reach out to our office after this call and talk to Austin. He'll set up an appointment with one of our team members for you. But that's our preference. We'd love that.
Okay, great.
Anything else, Rodney?
And that is the 326 number 9411?
Yes, and extension 5 for Austin.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we're going to move in. I just want to briefly give you an overview of the Grand Rapids loan grant program. This just came out today, so I apologize. I didn't have time to put it and make it look pretty on the PowerPoint for you all. But I did want you to have eyes on it. If you haven't received this information, we will get this out on our Facebook page as well once they have a Facebook post that we can share. But essentially, GRETA, the Grand Rapids Economic Development Authority, is using their emergency working capital loan program to also offer matching grants. So there are loans up to $30,000, charging a 0% interest, and they would amortize over 5 years, and their payments are deferred for 6 months. And then once you have been approved for the program, you could be eligible for a matching grant equal to ranging between 50 and 75% of the loan value. So that really depends on the size of the loan. Now, if you are a business that has already received a loan from this emergency working capital loan fund, please reach out to Rob Matei, because I know that he is working with the existing loan recipients in that program as well. So please reach out to Rob if you're interested in applying for a new loan and to be a part of that program. Or also, this is opportunities for those of you that have already applied and already received those funds. This is the grant program I'm referring to with the City of Grand Rapids. And so as you probably know, I think the city awarded 36 or 37 loans during that period. So we know those businesses will most likely receive a grant, and that would make you ineligible for our program. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? Sounds scratchy. Okay.
It was.
Oh, sorry. It might have just been me talking too fast. I'll try to move it a little bit closer. Okay. Any questions on the GRETA program? Good, because I don't have a lot of information. I'm just going to send you to Rob. But it is new and it's very exciting. And I'm happy to be able to share the information that we received just today. All right, we're going to switch gears and go into logger program. So if you are not a logger, feel free to bounce off at this point. Again, you can access this video on our website later today, as well as updated information. And I encourage you, if you've already printed an application, we did update that just today. So it's a little bit different. Only, I think, 2 questions are different on there than was before today. Can you hear me okay? Really? Huh. Is that better?
Yes, Tamara, that's better.
I'll just hold it up here. I'll look like a radio host. Okay, so as we talk through the logger grant program, the same period and application window applies. So I won't go into deep detail upon the application information. I will say that our logging friends that are out there, there have been a few that have been interested in just dropping off applications. And again, not possible. You need to make an appointment or give us a call and we'll help you with your application one-on-one, but we will not do it without you. It is a partnership. So for loggers, there's some really important caveats to the logging businesses, right? We are talking about people that are logging in Itasca County. We're probably not talking about people that are maybe firewood as a second job, something you do in your extra time. We're not talking about truckers here. We're talking specifically about loggers. Now, if you are a business and you do trucking on the side, then you are certainly eligible to apply for the regular Itasca business program, but the logging program would not be available to you. So you must be able to show us, and that's in the application process and through our verification models, that you will be or that you are logging in Itasca County. And we have various means to confirm that, right? We can work with the Minnesota Loggers Education Program, the Minnesota DNR, and the Itasca County Land Department to help us with the verification of Itasca loggers. The logging business must reside in Itasca County. So, and this could be a big one for you. There are many companies that log in Itasca County, but their business does not reside in Itasca County, and their business is not registered in Itasca County. That does not make you eligible for this grant program. Again, you must affirm intent to remain open in Itasca County. The demonstration for financial support due to an impact from COVID-19 is truly about the overall impact to the logging industry over the last year. So this one is something that we'll work with you on, and I believe that we will be able to provide good backup information for Itasca loggers. Again, if you own multiple businesses, you can have one application per business. But again, if you're a logger who has a trucking business, that trucking business would not be eligible for the logging application or grant. You could certainly apply for the business grant program if that was the case. As we go on, again, franchises are not eligible. Only complete applications and nonprofits are ineligible. So we're going to take just a minute and look at the form. It's not terribly different from our other form that we went through. But again, the same information at the top of the form, personal contact information. Again, a lot of the specific to your gender, race, all of that is optional. We want to hear about your business number, website, Facebook page, all of those details if you have them. Your organization type as a business. Are you registered in the state of Minnesota? And if so, what's your registration number? Your business tax ID number, if you are a nonprofit or not. And again, this important piece of being free of liens due to Minnesota unpaid taxes. So just know that we will be verifying that information and it can be a disqualifier. How has that impacted your business? Have you had to close your business, reduce your hours of operation? Please click on all that apply. Again, full-time equivalents. So the websites that we showed you earlier and went into full detail on will also be good resources for you to look at to understand how many full-time employees you might have. A good reason to use the second one that Terry showed us is because many loggers only work seasonally. So this would actually work really well for you because you could show the number of FTEs or full-time employees you have during part of the year. As we go down, the reasoning behind why you're requesting this grant. The total business revenue. So this is slightly different for loggers. Loggers are not required to look at just March through June. We want to see your total revenue for 2018 and your total revenue for 2019. No expenses are required in the case of your application. And then of course, what changes have you made to stay viable during the pandemic? That's all that is part of the logger application process. It's very straightforward. And we believe that it should be something that most businesses are able to do. But again, we encourage you to reach out to your accountants, your bankers, folks that can help you understand how to get some of the numbers that are required. And of course, only complete applications are accepted. So again, when we receive your application, we will start with the initial verification process. So if indeed you are a logger in Itasca County, you will be eligible for these funds, but we will expect to see loggers outside of Itasca County, and that's why that screening process is so important. So once we go through that initial phase, you'll receive an email, and that email will ask for a specific documentation. That documentation list is posted on our website right now today. I just am avoiding going through it because I don't want to confuse anyone that might not be eligible. The documentation list that is up there has the details on the things that would be acceptable to, again, validate your address, such as your utility bill, or to validate your tax status, which would be the Minnesota taxes that you submitted and the last year you submitted them. So again, you may not have done that for 2020 and that for 2019, and that's okay. We would accept your 2018 taxes done in 2019. So again, once the applicants are verified, they'll be placed into tiers. So these tiers are predetermined on our end, and the funds are allotted to each tier. The difference between the logger application program and the business application program is that every eligible logger will receive funds. The funds highly likely to be determined by number of full-time employees and some different stats that we'll be looking at, but all the loggers will receive funds. The applicants will receive an award email, and then checks will be followed. So similar timeline to the previous application process that we just talked about. Same deadline for documentation, September 14th. Again, the sooner the better. We believe there are only about 30 to 35 loggers in Itasca County. So we expect this to be a smaller amount of folks to work with and things to work through. So as long as we can get all the documentation in, we may be able to get the funds out earlier than October 1st to 15th. We did not want to commit to that in this process because we know things can happen and things can go wrong. So we do commit to getting the funds out between October 1st and 15th, but there is a good likelihood that that could happen even sooner. Any questions from loggers or people that know loggers? Okay. So that completes the education on our grant program. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office if you want to set up an appointment or if you have any questions. If you are working with a business, please encourage them to reach out to our office to set up an appointment. Our number is 218-326-9411. Extension 5 will get Austin. As we've noted on our Facebook post, IEDC will open for long hours on the 25th through the 27th. So we'll be open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. in person in our office here across from the Grand Rapids Chamber. After 6 p.m., between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., our phones will still be active. So there'll be 6 different people waiting for calls on questions about the grant program. So don't hesitate to reach out after 6 p.m. and try to reach one of our team members. If you don't reach us before 10 p.m., we'll be back again first thing in the morning, and we'll be responding to any of those calls that we've received. So we really thank you for your time and attention. And most importantly, I would say, please reach out to a friend, a neighbor, a business owner. I can't tell you how many meetings our team members are attending right now. And every time we go into a room, there's still someone who doesn't know about this grant program. Remember, grants are free. You do not have to pay these funds back. Please get the word out so people know to apply for these funds. Any other questions? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.